4 years ago, I would have loved some of the pieces on this list, and now I... Oh, no, 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 no. Don't love them as much. You all know what that means. It's okay. I find it quite repetitive, to be honest. Feels like a piece that would have been good if it was half the length. It's going there. It's going into the big S. Okay, this is one of the pieces I would consider the big five. That if you're playing marimba as a soloist, you should have learned at least one of these 5 pieces. Well, I mean... I think they're starting to become quite common now, so I will just say A tier. Oof, I'm gonna get flamed for this. Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Studio. My name is Adam. It's time for another tier list. Thank you so much to my studio VIPs, Robert Utomo, Bradley Crowley, Sunshine Hahn, Scott Rader, Greg Harris, Dean P. Newberger, Jake Harold Gilliland, and Retro Percussion. Thank you so much for your continued support. And today's featured studio artist is Ole Tobias Show. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you'd like to become a studio VIP or a studio artist, you can go to patreon.com/AdamTan, or you can click over here. Welcome back to the show once again. Hope you've been well, hope you've been staying safe. Yes, today we're going to be revisiting my top 50 Marimba Solos tier list all the way back from 2020. It's been 1 year and I really wanted to update it because, well, I've grown up. I think it's really interesting because this year and last year, due to COVID, a lot of people have been learning new marimba pieces and trying pieces they've never tried before. And I think it's the same for me. 4 years ago, I would have loved some of the pieces on this list, and now I don't love them as much. But if you're new to my channel, my name is Adam and I make videos about percussion things every single week, if you haven't already guessed. So hit that red subscribe button below to keep up with my uploads, because I upload every single week. And also, if you haven't already joined our Discord server, it's at adamtanpercussion.com/Discord. So the tiers, we have S, A, B, C, D, with S being the highest, D being the lowest. So S tier pieces would be pieces that are on my personal bucket list, or if I've played them already, they're just really exceptional pieces in my opinion. They have great artistic contribution, or they were groundbreaking for the time, or they're just really fun. And A tier pieces are also very good, almost exceptional, and I would also really like to play these pieces, but I would just like to play the S tier pieces a little bit more. B tier pieces are pieces that I think are good. Like, generally speaking, they're pretty good, and I wouldn't mind putting one of these pieces on if I had to look for one more piece to fill a program, but I wouldn't necessarily be rushing out to play this piece. Now, C tier would be pieces that I consider to be okay. I would play them if I had to play them, but I wouldn't necessarily want to play them that badly, but they're just kind of meh. And finally, as you might have guessed, D tier pieces to me are just pieces I would never touch. They're pieces that I think are either overplayed or just not very inspiring, or I just think there are better alternatives out there. But yes, before you have a go at me in the comments, just remember this video is totally my opinion. I'm not getting paid by any of the composers in this video to say nice things about them. And also, it's not ranked in difficulty. So some really simple pieces might be at the top, and some really difficult pieces might be at the bottom. Who knows? But yeah, I made this tier list template a year ago. It's still available for anyone who wants to make their own version of this tier list. You can use the link in the description below. Okay, so here's the tier list, and as you can see, all kinds of different pieces, all kinds of different composers. Some of them are really recent pieces, and some of them are transcriptions, some of them are collections of pieces. So I'm not going to be showing any recordings in this video because that's just going to take way too long, and also copyright. All these pieces are really famous, so I encourage you to go and search these pieces up and support your favorite performers. Now, I've also mixed up the pieces, so it's a different order from the video from last year. So let's start off with the first one, which is Two Characters by Casey Cangelosi. Okay, now I know the Two Characters pretty well. They are pretty hardcore pieces. Like they're virtuosic and choppy, but they're not as rough as you might expect. Like, a lot of Casey's pieces can be really like in your face, which is not a bad thing by any means. I think it's really cool and different. You know how some pieces are just like 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 1, 2, 3, 4 there? This is a tough one because I'm not sure if I'm like dying to play this piece, but I wouldn't mind playing it. So let's put it in B tier for now. But yeah, I really like Casey's stuff. So Casey, if you're watching, you're the best. Okay, next one is Bach 6 Cello Suites. This is obviously very iconic, and you can get it for free as well, so it's accessible to anybody if you're IMSLP or any other open source website. I think these are really good to play on marimba, as cliched as it is starting to get nowadays. You know, everybody's talking about Bach on marimba, but I really think it does teach you a lot about articulation, phrasing, And I have played one of these cello suites already, and I think they're really, really great. And also, it just seems to work really well on 5-octave marimbas, like sound-wise and harmony-wise. So I'm going to say, well, because it teaches you a lot, and because I have played it before and I really enjoyed it, I'll say A tier. I think I might have put Bach on S tier last time, but because it's now starting to get more common, and I think there are other transcriptions that you can try instead of Bach, I'm going to put it on A tier. Okay, next one. 2 Mexican Dances by Gordon Stout. Now, I have played Mexican Dances before. I think last time I put this in B tier as well. It's okay. It's definitely good for teaching you how to use your independent strokes and double verticals. And it's not too difficult, but it will definitely push the intermediate players a little bit more. I don't want to say it's meh, because it's definitely a pretty decent piece. I'll say B tier. Aldridge from My Little Island. Now, this piece, I didn't really know that much about it when I made this video last year. Now, this piece is a very specific style of marimba solo. If you listen to it, you know exactly what I mean. It's like a very lateral, heavy, and like just, it sounds like a marimba solo. And it's nice. It does sound nice. The melodies are nice. And it's also very long. There's quite a few movements to it. And you can get a lot out of it. And it's a great learning experience. Would I play it myself personally? Not really. I'm not really that keen on playing this piece, but I know some people really like it, and I think it's definitely worth a learn. So let's put it in B tier. Evelyn Glennie, 3 chorales for marimba. Okay, so the one that most people know from this book is probably A Little Prayer, and it's probably one of the most well-known, most played chorales in the world. Marimba chorales are just really great, and they teach you so much about harmony, they teach you so much about roll speed, about how to control resonance, how to control projection, things like that. I really like chorales, and I would happily play these chorales anytime. They're also just something you can put in any sort of program, whether it's a recital, a professional program, so it's going there. It's going into the big S. Okay, the next one, Strive to Be Happy by Ivan Trevino. Now, Ivan is one of my good friends, and he's just a really awesome composer, and he was one of my inspirations when I started out. I think he really spurred this generation of self-composing, self-publishing people. Did I just say self-composing? Self-publishing people who are also writing pieces in that more modern poppy style with influences from like rock music, punk music. I think Ivan was the first one. And Strive to Be Happy is just a really great piece with a really great intention behind it. And I think it was released around 2014, and it really spurred a generation of newcomers like myself. And this piece just embodies all of that. I've played it before. I really like it. I think it's also a really great learning experience. So it's going into A tier. Awesome piece. 3 Moves for Marimba by Paul Lansky. Pretty interesting set of music. It's unique. It's not too laterally, you know what I mean when I say laterally. It's not too like marimba solo-y. It's got a lot of interesting influences. And I think I was a little bit too harsh to it last time, so I'll say it's A tier because I would like to try learning 3 moves as well. Intermediate Masterworks for Marimba compiled by Nancy Zeltzman. So this book that I've seen is not bad. I do like some of the pieces from it. Beast, I think, is the one that I always refer to, Beast by Steve Mackey. The fact that you get so many different, lesser known composers in one book is also a really good thing. So I'm going to say B tier. It's not something that I'm dying to play, but I wouldn't mind giving some of those solos a shot. Northern Lights by Eric Awazin. And okay, this is one of the pieces I would consider the big 5. And if you've watched my videos, I'm sure you know what I mean by the big 5. That if you're playing marimba as a soloist, you should have learned at least one of these 5 pieces because they all have what I would define as advanced virtuosity. It's a spectacular piece. It's honestly spectacular, and it's like grand. I don't think there's many marimba solos I can call grand because usually they're too short or they're too small scale, but Northern Lights feels like a much larger scale work than it actually is. Just listen to a recording and you know what I mean. It's just very special. I'm going to say it's up there. Yes, one of the big 5. Chain by Kazunori Miyake. Okay, I've heard this piece a few more times. A couple of people played it for Marimba Fest and a few other competitions I adjudicated. It's just such a fun, bouncy piece. Would I like to play it myself? Absolutely. And it has all of the video game influence. As you know, Kazunori Miyake also wrote for, I think it was Final Fantasy? I love this piece. I think it's really fun, really bouncy. It has a lot of Japanese video game influence because Kazunori Miyake did write for video games as well. And it's just a really fresh take on marimba music. So would I be dying to play it? No. So I don't think it would go up here, but I'm keen to try it. I'm definitely keen to try it. So A tier. Rhythm Song by Paul Smadbeck. Okay, so recently we featured Rhythm Song on the Let's Watch segment. You can check it out over here. It's okay. I find it quite repetitive, to be honest, like almost too repetitive. It feels like a piece that would have been good if it was half the length. And it kind of encourages that sort of really loud, non-voiced playing just because it's like... Yeah, it's just like a little bit... But at the same time, it's not D tier. Like, it's not terrible, but it's just okay. So I'm just going to put it in C. Sorry to everybody who likes Rhythm Song. Land by Takatsugu Muramatsu. Now, I think that Vic Firth video of this is the one that got people into learning this piece because it is really pretty and it is one of the first nice pieces that I ever came across as a marimba student. It is starting to become a little bit overplayed, but I do still think it's a very pretty piece and it can teach you a lot about melodic voicing and just how to play nice music. So it's not quite A tier. I would say B tier. I'm not dying to play Land, but I wouldn't mind playing it again. Bach, Violin Sonatas and Partitas. Okay, so again, really pretty much a staple of marimba repertoire by now because they appear on audition lists everywhere. They're just great for building technique, but also building musicality and phrasing, and also just improving your tone quality. So yeah, I think it's like a necessary training arc. I think last time I said Bach was S tier, but like I said with the cello suites, I think they're starting to become quite common now, so I will just say A tier. Oof, I'm gonna get flamed for this. Yeah, definitely if you haven't played any transcription stuff before and you want to work on your phrasing, you want to be able to be more lyrical, Bach is always a good place to start. Libertango by Eric Samu. Now, you guys might remember Gary Burton responded to my Libertango video, the one where we did student versus professional. You can check that out over here. And Gary Burton messaged me being like, that piece is not really Libertango. And I agree, because it's really just an Eric Samu solo that happens to have Libertango's melody. I've played that piece now, I've learned it and I played it twice, and I think it's okay. Like if you want to learn a really accurate, more tango-y feeling Libertango, I would suggest Kana Amori's version or Fumito Ninoya's version, both of them available on Edition Switzer. I also don't really like that the cover doesn't even mention Piazzolla, it just says Eric Samu as though he was the one who wrote Libertango, and people actually think that now, which is really silly. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to put this one in B tier because it's not C tier meh, like it's still an important work, I guess. And as a marimba solo, if you take away the title, it's fine. But emphasis on fine. Cricket Sang and Set the Sun by Blake Tyson. Okay, this piece gets played a lot. Okay, I'm sure everyone watching this video has either heard someone playing it or they've played it themselves. It's super, super common now. And it is pretty. It can be really pretty and it can also teach you a lot about phrasing. It's a good starter for lateral strokes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Would I say it's like super inspiring? That's debatable. Would I say it's A tier? Absolutely not. Yeah, it's a healthy B. There's a lot of Bs in this. Should I reshuffle any of these? Maybe Casey's piece can move up, just because I think it's a bit more interesting than the other ones here. So yeah, let's put Casey's up. See that, Casey? I got your back. Keiko Abe works for marimba. Now, this book has a lot of amazing pieces, including Memories of the Seashore, Wind in the Bamboo Grove, Little Windows, Ancient Vases, and of course, Variations on Japanese Children's Songs. Of those pieces, I'd say 3 of them I want to play really badly. Variations on Japanese Children's Songs has been one of my bucket list pieces for quite a while now. Yeah, Keiko Abe music just hits differently. It's just like a different generation of music, and it's just so different to all of the American style music, so I'm just going to have to say S tier. Just absolutely legendary book. If you haven't played at least one piece from this book, go and learn it because I think it will be a really eye-opening experience. And yeah, I'm planning to do a mini launch recital, my first solo recital in a long time, for my new mallets when they come out. So I'm actually thinking of playing Variations on Japanese Children's Songs. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I should do that. Okay, the orange cover. Khan Variations. Okay, Khan Variations is a piece that a lot of people have problems with. Some people say that it just sounds really random, and some people say that because it sounds random, it's awesome. I think I'm in the latter. I think that it's very unique, very special, one of the big 5 pieces. So there's no way I can't put it in the S tier. It's just, yeah. Eric Samu, 4 rotations for marimba. Well, again, just like I said with Libertango, this collection of pieces is good. It's good for learning things. It's a good bridging piece. It's probably going to go in the same place as Libertango and Cricket, which is B tier. Restless by Rich O'Meara. Now, this piece is also a bridging piece in my opinion, but it's a little bit more difficult. I don't know if it's like super interesting to me, but it definitely does show a bit of skill. So I hate to do this, but Restless, B tier. B tier is just huge. Yeah, B tier is just like pieces. I guess you can't really go wrong with any of the B tier pieces, especially if you're just starting out. Then of course all the B tier pieces are totally acceptable. Virginia Tate by Paul Smadbeck. Now, just like the other Smadbeck piece, Rhythm Song, I don't really know if this is an interesting piece to me. It just seems really riding on that mid 20th century minimalistic wave. So yeah, it's a meh piece for me, so I'm just gonna put it in C. Sorry, Paul. Okay, the next two, well, okay. These pieces, I mean, you guys already know how I feel about these pieces. They're part of the big five, the pieces that you should play at least one of them in your solo marimba career. So the first one, I don't even need to say anything. It's pretty obvious. You know, I love that piece. It's still my favorite marimba solo of all time, just because it's just so different. And every time you play it, you find something new. It's a little bit like Skyrim for marimba. And as for velocities, again, there is no other piece that defines the term modo perpetuo more than velocities. So right up there to join the other two of the big five. I don't know if the fifth piece of the big five is actually in this list. Oh, it's not. Okay, well, I guess you're just going to have to figure out what the fifth piece is. Let me know down in the comments below if you can tell me what the fifth piece of the big five is. All right, the next one. Okay, the opposite end of the spectrum, Ghost Garden by Adam Hopper. Ghost Garden is a great piece for learning technique. Is it a piece that I think is like nice to listen to? It can be. So right now I'm tossing up between B tier and C tier. Would I say it's a B tier piece? It's not really on the same level as the pieces that are already in the B tier. It's just a little bit too simple, and I think once you've learned like technically how to hold your mallets well and you can play at the technique required for Ghost Garden, you probably wouldn't revisit it again. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. Sorry. It's a good starter piece, but yeah, it kind of stays as a starter piece. The Dvorak Jovan Cvikovic Funny Marimba Book 1. Well, I mean... Okay, look, like if I put aside the composer for a second, I think, you know, the most I would give this book is a C tier, the very most. But I just don't think any of the things in that book are worth performing. They're more like exercises. So it's not really a marimba solo per se. Etude in C Major by Claire Omar Massa, again, one of the most iconic pieces of marimba and really represents a bygone era, that transitional era between xylophone music and marimba music in the early 20th century. So yeah, I think it's historically very significant. I almost want to put it in the A tier just because of that. But I also know that it's, in terms of like its melody and stuff, it's not that exciting. Like it's, I'll put it in A tier because I don't think there's anything else like it. Unless you talk about, you know, Massa's other pieces, or you talk about Creston Concertino maybe. Yeah, I'll do A tier. Transformation of Pachelbel's Canon arranged by Nanae Imamura. Now, I've always been on the fence about this piece. I really like Nanae Imamura's playing. I think she's a phenomenal player, and I think her mallets are great, obviously, because I use them all the time. I think I said this in last year's video too. Pachelbel's Canon is still Pachelbel's Canon, and it's okay. Would I want to perform this piece myself? Probably not, but I don't think it deserves to be in the C tier because it is actually really difficult to play and it can be interesting to the right audience. So let's put it in B tier. Polaris by Mark Ford. Again, this is another example of a piece that I don't necessarily dislike. I think it's fine. I'll put it in B as well. Again, our B tier is just getting super full. 3 Preludes by Ney Rosario. Okay, everybody know this. Dum, dun, 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 dun. Iconic, I guess, in a way, but I don't know if it's like super inspiring. Would I say it's A tier? Be a really hard press to make it A tier. So I'm going to say B tier, but it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, and they're pretty short as well, so easily consumable for developing players. C Refractions by Mitchell Peters. Mitchell Peters, hey? No, I'm gonna have to say D tier. C Refractions is just really long. You know, when they put that DC al coda and it's literally just the same thing over and over again, it just sounds really, really bland. I just think in this point in time, remember C Refractions was written in the early 70s, there's just way better picks now available for developing players. I think a lot of the major marimba composers and stuff are writing pieces for 4 1/3 octave marimba, for beginners, for intermediate, and they just sound way more interesting than C Refractions. Dvorak Jovan Cvikovic Iliash. Okay, again, I'll put aside what I think about the composer, and just thinking from a purely musical standpoint, I don't think I can give it anything more than B tier. Sorry. Okay, the red cover, that means Pius Chung, Etude in E minor. Now, Pius was one of the first people to add a pianistic style to Marimba Solos. I think his earliest videos of this piece, Etude in E minor, really attracted people to that sort of Chopin-esque, Liszt-esque style of playing marimba. I really like this piece. I've played it 2 or 3 times now. Definitely A tier. Definitely. It's a great piece, a very different style to all the other marimba composers. Reflections on the Nature of Water by Jacob Druckmann. Now, some people gave me a hard time about this because I put it down too low. I think I gave it a B tier last time. I will say Reflections is an A tier. Yes, it's significant enough to be A tier. It's not quite S tier material. I'm not dying to play it, but I wouldn't mind giving it a try. Variations on Lost Love by Maslanka. Same thing, I would also say A tier. Interesting piece, not too marimba-y, and historically significant. Also, Maslanka recently passed away, so condolences to Maslanka's family, but I think it's just a really iconic work. 4 rotations for marimba. Okay, I think I've already mentioned this. I think the earlier one was 1 and this one is 4, but yeah, we'll just put it in the same tier. Garnea by Matthias Schmidt. This piece is very overplayed. Would I say it's B tier? No. Would I say it's D tier? Definitely not. It's better than C Refractions, so C. No higher than a C though, yeah. White Knuckle Stroll by Casey Cangelosi. This is often regarded as a grail piece for a lot of people because of that video from like 12 years ago of Casey shredding this piece, and everyone was like, whoa, you can do that with 2 mallets? And a friend of mine once told me that you can do a lot with 2 mallets, and sometimes people just forget that. So I really like that Casey pushed the 2 mallet medium to the extreme with this piece, and it is still really desirable to today. So I was going to put it in the A tier originally, but given that it's actually such a significant piece, there you go. Marimba di Amore by Keiko Abe. This is considered one of the most difficult Keiko Abe solos, and Keiko Abe just writes incredible music, like so different to other people. Even today, with all these like online competitions and everyone's just got like repertoire lists that look pretty much the same, they always have Keiko Abe on them, and they always have Marimba di Amore, and it's just a really great piece, and it really does make you feel something too. It's not just a chop fest, so straight to the top. Alice Gomez and Marilyn Rife, Rain Dance. Remember how I used to refer to this piece as one of the Rain twins, one of them being Rain Dance, and the other one, okay, I'm sure you guys know what the other one is. I'm not even going to say it because it's going to come up soon anyway. Rain Dance is one of the first 4 mallet pieces. I think it is the first 4 mallet piece that I learned in high school. Would I say it's B tier? No. It's definitely a learning piece, definitely for learning technique. Otherwise, it just sounds really repetitive. Like, how many times do you hear a D minor chord in Rain Dance? So I'm going to say C. It's definitely, like, I respect its significance in the learning repertoire, but other than that, I think C is about right. Modern Japanese Marimba Pieces, Volume 1, edited by Keiko Abe. Okay, this book includes what I like to call Holy Trinity of Japanese pieces that don't include Keiko Abe's, which is Time for Marimba by Minoru Miki, Tsuyoshi's Mirage for Marimba, and also Tours 3 by Miyoshi. These are absolute bangers when it comes to atonal Japanese music. Yeah, I really like this collection of pieces, and I think they're absolute must-plays, so S tier. Yes. Challenge 1 by Earl Hatch. I think this is the one that has Furiosa and Valse. I have heard that piece a couple of times since the last video, and I will say that it is okay, again, for learning purposes, but would I have it played in a concert environment, like a professional concert? Probably not. It's not something that I'm really that keen to play, so in letter C. Rhythm Dance. Okay, this is kind of embarrassing, but I don't actually know this piece at all. So I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sound knowledgeable when I'm not, so I'm just going to put it in B tier. But if you know anything about Rhythm Dance, let me know down in the comments below. Okay, this red cover is also iconic. Minoru Miki Marimba Spiritual. Again, one of my dream pieces to play. I still haven't had a chance to play it yet. Just so iconic. It's not even like technically that difficult compared to the other pieces in my S tier over here. Some of these are way more difficult, way longer than Marimba Spiritual. But Marimba Spiritual just has this energy that just can't be recreated by other pieces. So straight to the top, S tier, no questions asked. Caritas by Michael Barrett. It's okay. It has its moments. It is interesting, but I'm also not dying to play it. So B tier. Gordon's Bicycle by Kevin Bobo. Now, I have played this piece before. I think it's a really interesting exercise, but it does really sound like an exercise. It doesn't really sound like anything beyond that. The harmonic structure is very simple. Would I say it's anything higher than B tier? Probably not, but it's not meh. So yeah, B tier. Again, Wind by Chin Cheng Lin. Again, very popular piece because it sounds very much like a Cantonese pop song, as I said in my previous video. It's good. It does sound very inspired by modern Chinese music and other Southeast Asian music. Will I say it is A tier? No. But it is very pretty and it's definitely programmable in a professional context, so B tier. Harold Arlen Over the Rainbow, arranged by Robert Utomo. Oh, this is just iconic. Now, I have learned this piece a lot of times, and a few of my students have learned it too, and they really like it because it's so different. Like, all the runs are really different. Robert Utomo's style, I know he's also my really great friend, but like his style of writing is so unique, and it just sounds so special, and there's a little bit of jazzy influence into it as well. I'm going to say A tier. Definitely A tier. And I would love to play it again. Frogs by Keiko Abe. Also another iconic Keiko Abe piece. Now, yes, it is on the easier side, but even though she has like a more limited pool of resources with this piece because it has to be to a certain difficulty level, it still sounds really fascinating and it really embodies that bounciness of frogs. It's just really quirky and cool. A tier. No doubt. No doubt, boss. Oh, no, 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 no. You all know what that means. Like, I will say that Yellow After the Rain, if it was the only marimba solo to exist in the world, it would be totally fine. But given now that there's just so many better options and it really hasn't stood the test of time, in my opinion, yeah, you can definitely look elsewhere if you're looking for a first piece. Parody by Jesse Monkman. Not a bad piece. Actually, a good blend between, you know, like your first 4-mallet piece and your first real 4-mallet piece. It's like a good bridging ground because the actual runs are not difficult, but it is substantially longer. Would I say it's B tier? Well, actually, yeah, it does have its moments. It can really bring out performers really well. So, okay. B tier, B tier. It's not quite as overplayed as the C tier pieces. And the final one is Mbira Song by Alice Gomez. Now, of all the Alice Gomez pieces, I would say Mbira Song is actually one of the better ones, and it is still written for a purpose. So, C. Okay, final rundown of our tiers. So starting from the bottom, D tier, we've got Funny Marimba by Chivkovich, Sea Reflections, Yellow After the Rain. I'm sure you guys already predicted that. C tier, pieces that I think are okay, but I wouldn't necessarily want to play them. Rhythm Song, Virginia Tate, Ghost Garden, Ghanea, Rain Dance, Challenge 1, Mbira Song. Yep, I think that's about right. B tier, pieces that I think are good, but maybe just not necessarily pieces I'd be rushing out to play. We got Mexican Dances by Gordon Stout, From My Little Island, Intermediate Masterworks, Land, Libertango, Cricket, 4 Rotations, 1-4, Restless, Transformations of Canon, Polaris, 3 Preludes by Rosario, Iliash, Rhythm Dance, which I still don't know what that is, Gordon's Bicycle, Wind, and Parody. Yeah, I think that's about right. These pieces, like, I don't have a problem with any of them. I think they're all pretty decent, but just not necessarily my cup of tea. A tier, pieces that I think that are very good and I would happily play or include in a program. We've got Bach 6 Suites for cello. We've got Strive to be Happy, 3 Moves for marimba, Chain, Sonatas and Partitas on violin for Bach, 2 Characters by Casey Cangelosi, Etude in C major, Etude in E minor by Pius Chung, Druckmann. We've got Variations on Lost Love by Maslanka, Robert Utomo's Over the Rainbow, and Frogs by Keiko Abe. Yes, I would definitely be happy to play any of these pieces if they appeared in front of me, but they're not the ones I'm dying to play as they are in the S tier, the ultimate pieces that I've wanted to play for a long time or I have played before and absolutely loved them. We have 3 Chorales from Evelyn Glennie, Northern Lights from Eric Iwazan, Keiko Abe Works for Marimba, that book is amazing, Khan Variations, Merlin, Velocities, of course the big 3, plus the other 2's big 5, White Knuckle Stroll, Marimba di Amore, Japanese marimba pieces, and also Marimba Spiritual. Yes, these are all, in my opinion, pieces that I would either like to play or have played already. Amazing. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my tier list picks. Remember, this is totally my opinion. There's no right or wrong answer. Some people might put Yellow After the Rain as S tier. If you're a composer on this list and you don't like where I put you, I'm sorry. But I'm also confident that there's people who would put you much higher and they will definitely support your music. And yes, if you do want to buy this music, I might as well say this now. Please buy original copies of music. Please don't share music via Scribd or Dropbox or Google Drive. Composers need to be able to sell their music, and they should be able to sell their music. They wrote it and they worked really hard on it and they got it premiered and all of this other stuff that is associated with the music. So please support composers. But yes, if you'd like to see more videos like this, please hit that red subscribe button below to keep up my uploads. I would love to do another percussion related tier list. I'm thinking of doing maybe a mallet tier list, or maybe a percussion duo tier list, or maybe a vibraphone piece tier list. Let me know if you'd like to see any of those. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you next week for another episode of The Studio. Good night.